Hi everybody, I'm Paul, and this is part 4, the final video in building the Bali Chair. Today we're going to be creating the back supports, drilling the holes in the crest rail to mount the back supports in, gluing up the chair, and finally finishing it with Odies Oil. Hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you build your own Bali Chair. We're going to be creating this bent laminated back support. Woo-wee. We're going to need 5 of them for the chair. It's going to fit in here something like this. We're going to take this right from slicing up the laminations. Here's the laminations. You can see how nice and flexible they are. Now these are 23 inches long and 1.5 inches wide. Each back support is going to be 3 layers. Can you see? So we got 3 layers. Awesome. So step 1, obviously, we need to slice up our laminations. We're going to do that either at the bandsaw. You can also do it at the table saw. The reason I do it at the bandsaw is that it saves a lot of material, because basically for every lamination you're cutting at the table saw, you're going to lose a lamination in sawdust, which is not the most pleasant thing, especially if you're using an expensive type of wood. The bandsaw, in my opinion, a little bit safer also in doing this operation, so I like to use the bandsaw, so that's what we'll be showing you in this video. We're then going to come back and be using this form to glue up the laminations. Pretty exciting. Let's make some sawdust. Let's get our glue on. At the jointer, we made 90 degrees on 2 faces. Then we went to the table saw, cleaned up the other 2 faces, and now we're going to head to the bandsaw and slice up a bunch of laminations using a power feeder. These are going to be 1/8 of an inch thick, and we're going to glue 3 of them back together on our form with a bunch of clamps, a caul, of course a whole lot of glue to get our bent laminated shape that we want for that back support. Our billets are sliced up at the bandsaw. I use a very low kerf blade which leaves a beautifully smooth cut so I can glue up right off the bandsaw. You do really want to watch the cut though, make sure the thickness is exactly what you want. I've already laid down the back laminations. I grain match it, so this whole billet's together, and then I drop down all 6 laminations. We're then going to put in fillers, so we're going to have 1 filler for each in the center of the back brace. Now we're going to have the grain match fronts, and I think these are just incredible. The grain on this is like, whoo! I don't know what that means exactly, but it means whoo! We're going to go ahead and glue these up on the form, right here. Here's the form. I'm going to get some glue. I'm going to get a roller. Let's do it. Very important not to screw this up, Paul. Keep it together. Keep it together. Going to add a bunch of glue. Staying organized, trying to stay clean. Nice thick layer. Nice thick layer. I always like to do the old roller doler. There we go. Flip her over. Flip her over. Flip it back over. Very important. No glue in between. No glue in between. I'm going to put this one on top. There we go. Okay, onto the form. Tops. Very important. Don't forget the caul. Hello, it's for you. That was a very bad joke. My wife's going to kill me with that one. Start clamping down here.
That squeeze out is crazy.
Crazy good?
This is just a lot of glue.
Yeah, that's what you want. Actually go like this. Hold them against the upright. This is a very quiet instructional video. Okay, we're all glued up. Got lots of nice squeeze out, which is great. I'm able to turn this form around, and I can do 2 more back supports. So I have 1 stacked onto the other. So I can do 4. There's going to be 6 in total. So tomorrow morning I'll pop these out. We'll pop in the next set, and we'll get going on the back supports. So this is the jig that you're going to be using to glue up the back supports on. Now it's very important that this end here, so where you have your more aggressive curve, this is the bottom of the back supports. Very important that your bottoms are lined up relatively the same. This way you're going to maintain your grain match, and also the curve is going to be the same along all the back supports, so that's very important. As you can see, a whole bunch of clamps is also very important, and you can see I add these uprights. That way we can pull the laminations this way while we're doing the glue up. That way everything's staying nicely in line, and you'll have a lot less waste that way, because you're not going to have laminations kind of shooting off to the right or shooting off to the left. You always want to use a caul to disperse the clamping pressure onto our laminations. Now, if it's going to be your first time making the back supports, you just have to make the caul at the same time. So make your back supports as you normally would, and then make your caul on top. I have found that you can make the caul pieces up to 1/4 inch thick. I think this one here looks like it's 4 pieces, and maybe not 1/4 inch, but it's a heavy 1/8 of an inch, 4 layers for the caul itself. Now this form I do use for all of my chairs. What you're looking at right here is actually a set of back supports for a rocking chair. So it's full length. So you might as well make the cauls full length. That way you could use them if you happen to make the rocking chair, dining chair, or the Bali chair. Okay, that's it. This is the last of the back braces coming out of the form. The caul can come off. Woohoo! And now you're going to find the back brace is usually kind of stuck here. Very simply, I just take my little mallet and I just tap it on the side. You can see the back brace comes right out of the form. Also, we did 2 back braces on top of each other. So at this point too, they're going to be, possibly stuck together. Hopefully you didn't have too much glue. Now I find if you kind of just pull them apart like this, you can tear along the grain line if the glue's sticking out. So I actually kind of just hold them like this, and I'll actually smash them right on the table, and you can see it kind of breaks that glue bond. So it is very important that we don't have glue between these when we glue them up. And there we go. You can check out the shape, exactly what we're after. And we have all 6 here. And remember, we numbered them. We had arrows on the direction because we're nicely grain matched. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's fantastic. We have an extra back brace at this point. So even right now, if you notice something went awry, we can call that one from the group. If not, we're going to continue on with the 6. All right, we got a lot of work to do. We've only created the pieces from the laminations. Step 1, we're just cleaning all this glue off by hand. I have a little jig that we're going to clamp to the workbench. It's going to hold the piece. Just going to use a cabinet scraper to clean off the glue off both sides. Here we go. Bent laminated back supports. These are cut at 1.5 inch wide. Typically, you're going to finish them at 1 7/16 wide, taking off about a 32nd aside. You can do that in a planer. If you have a smaller helical head planer, you can put these all through a drum sander. You're not going to be sweating near as much, a little bit safer. And of course, if you have a wide belt sander, it also works beautifully. And to do that, we just flip them on their side. You're going to put them all together, and the whole batch is going to go through whichever machine you choose to. And you just want to clean it up so you have no glue on each side, basically, no missing lamination, that they're nice and smooth. After that, you're going to come back to your assembly bench. You're going to lay them out so the top lamination at the bottom edge here is perfectly in line. We want to have the grain match oh so right all the way across. So, that's about right. Then from there, with them all pushed against each other, you're going to take a square, and you want to draw a line as low as you can while cleaning up every back brace. So we've gone ahead and we've drawn that line on there. And all I do to clean this up, you could do it multiple ways. You could go to bandsaw, you could cut it. You could do it on your table saw sled. You could do it at a disc sander. I'll actually do it at the edge sander, and we just go to that line. You could also even set up a 90-degree on the edge sander. That would really simplify things. I like to kind of freehand it and just get to the line. So we got both edges parallel, cleaned up. We got the bottom squared off. And now what we're going to do is create a tenon on this bottom
bottom side here. We want it to be 2 inches tall and 7/16 of an inch wide. A hair over 7/16 is actually better. You're going to be sanding it to fit the chair, just in case those back brace holes that we made in the seat, vary a very little bit, and it can. Things happen in woodworking. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do this at the table saw. I like to use a tenoning jig to do this. So I'm going to set my table saw blade 2 inches height. I'm going to lay out where I want my tenon on here, and we're just going to get right to it and cut them. Cool, so the way I like to do it is I lay out my center line, and then from there I mark off 7/16 off of that line basically. So what, 3/32, a little bit more maybe? Either way, we're going to be cutting this a little large, and we're going to measure to cut. So I got my tenoning jig in here. Obviously, we've got to set our blade height. This is one spot where I love this little tool. Very simply, we can set it right over the blade, lower it down to 2 inches. Boom, just like that. Okay, we're going to take this, throw this in our tenoning jig. Oh, and here's the little trick. I actually marked it on the top side. Because these are a little long, we can do some test cutting on the top side. So I'm going to actually put it like that, centered in here. Now when you just have a single one of these, you do got to be careful with how it's fitting. We're just going to slide it up to the blade, and now I'm going to adjust it to my lines. And like I said, we're going to cut the fit, so let's leave this a little large. I'm going to lock it down. Now I don't want to cut all the way through the full 2 inches. We need just enough that we can check it with a ruler. I'm going to just touch the one side. Touch the other side. You adjust your tenoning jig until you have a hair over 7/16 there, and then go ahead and make your cuts. I'm going to take 2 at a time. We do have 6 of them, so you'll have 3 groups of back supports. Now, I want to line it up so the bottom of the back support is flat on my table. So you'll have a little bit of shimmy back and forth to figure out where that is. Good moderate pressure on your tenoning jig. And this time we're going to cut right through just past the top of the blade, and I'm going to come right back, flip it around, make the next cut. All right, so we have all of our tenons cut at the table saw. That's awesome. We now have another template, of course, provided in our template set. And we're just going to put it flush to the bottom side, and then he's making sure the side of this template lines up with our table saw cut, and we can see just that little curve that he's traced on there. So he's going to go ahead, he's going to add that onto all of them, and then we're going to head over to the bandsaw. We're going to then cut that, and then we're going to spindle sand it real nice. Now we're back at the assembly bench, and we have a 1/4 inch router bit, and it can be in really any router. I like being able to clamp it down. Conveniently, this one's pretty easy to do. And I've made this little donut, I call it, that goes on top of it. And really, this is all I use this router for. It's dedicated. I bought it used. I think I literally paid like $50, and I got 4 different routers. So it's worth it for me just to leave this dedicated like this. So I actually glued this donut in. You can also make it on a board and drill out where 2 of your holes are, and then screw it to your base. Also, if you're going to take it on and off of an individual router. But I advise just, picking up some routers cheap because they're out there in the classifieds. Keep your eyes open. Back braces, here we go. So we're all squared up. And what we're going to be doing right now is just rounding over these 4 edges. 3 and 4. We don't care about any of these long edges, just below this. I have my 1/4 inch bit set a little bit low. It's set about a 1/16 of an inch lower in this little donut doohickey. And because of that, it's not going to take too much material away. This is a very delicate operation where we want to just start it out with this 1/4 inch bit, and then we're going to go to the spindle sander to really refine it and fit it into the chair. So let's go ahead now, and we'll show you what this is going to do from these square edges. One little safety tip, I like holding the router when I turn it on. Just in case if I turn it on, it kind of jostles a little bit. We don't want that bit coming into our arm or clothing or anything like that. So I like holding the handle, then I turn it on. So we've just started the process of rounding over the edge. We're going to go to the spindle sander and we're going to finish this off now. Maintaining a relatively flat edge. We want a flat-sided oval so this does not spin in the chair. Before doing any sanding, make sure you go over to your chair and actually check it in the hole. Now this is number 1, and I usually do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we table sawed it in a way that it is slightly wider. Notice, slightly wider than our hole, so we're actually not fitting right now. I'm going to go to the spindle sander, create my flat side, and do a little bit more on the round over. I'm going to go up and down a few times. Straight on the edge, because like I said, we want to maintain the flat side. Now keep in mind also, it's only the bottom ½ inch that goes into the seat. Now before we get too crazy, let's not take too much away. I'm now going to kind of round over just that little flat edge that the router bit leaves. So we've kind of just taken away that sharp edge, and I've kind of just slightly rounded it, nothing too crazy. Maybe do a bit more here. Now when you do your first one like this, you don't really know necessarily how much material to take off. Oh, and we're just starting to fit in there, but clearly we can be much more round on our edges. But width-wise, we're darn good. I'm not going to take any more off the width. You can see I actually fit in there. Yeah, booyah. At this point also, the bottom back edge, so this is how it sits in the chair, with the bottom back edge, we're going to give it a chamfer. And we're just going to hit it like that. That way, when it's in the chair, it's just not a sharp edge, and you're risking breaking this edge away. So I like doing it like that. Let's go try it out again. Okay, there we go. We fit nicely now. And when you take it in and out, you do want to be going straight in and pressing down. And we want basically a friction fit right now, because we still obviously will have a little bit more sanding. Be very careful that you don't want to be bending the piece this way. It is very breakable if you go like that. So always straight up and down into the hole. So we're going to go ahead and do the rest of our back braces now. All right, awesome. We're back at the assembly bench. We got our squares, we got some rulers, we got drill bits, we got pens, and we have our back braces fitted into the bottom holes. Next step is we're going to drill the actual hole that goes into the crest rail. Then we can finally mark where we want to cut these and cut them to length and continue on. But first we got to drill a hole. So we're going to pop our crest rail out. It's because it's got to kind of, there. I got it, all right. Give me a break. Okay, so this is the front of it. We're going to flip it over. And we've already gone ahead and laid out basically what we're after. Now from the back corner, you're going to measure 1 5/8. That's right. Matt's confirming 1 5/8. So the both back corners, 1 5/8. 1 5/8. We already have a center line on here. So we're just going to measure between the center line and that mark that you just put on there. Now ours ended up being 5.5 inches total gap. So we had a measurement of 2 3/4. So much math these days. So we marked it right there, which is just the center point. Chances are yours is exactly the same because you made your chair perfectly, right? Maybe not. So just make sure you measure from here to here, and then we're just marking a center line between those two spots. Now the hole is going to be 9/16 of an inch back from the front edge. So I just use this ruler with, I really like this tool, it's called a check edge. And basically I put it just at the front edge in the vicinity of where the back brace hole is going to be. And I just mark a line. Bam, bam, bam across. And this is where Matt and I had a little discussion to transfer this line to that line. I'm just going to eyeball it right up the crest. We can trust our eye for this one. Great. So now we're going to be drilling a hole 7/16 of an inch, 1 inch deep. Do that by hand, do that drill press, however you'd like to do it. I like to do it by hand. And now we're ready to place this back on our chair. All the back supports, they fit into the chair, but they're too long, which is fantastic. What we're going to do is place it in the chair, and when you put it in, you want to hear the little thud noise. Oh, that was it. I'll do it again. That was light. It was there. Come on, Paul. There it is. We really want to make sure those are at the bottom because we're going to be marking these to length now. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do it up here because this is pretty annoying, but I'm going to center this hole visually on this back support. And I'm going to take a pencil, and what I do is at the edge sander, or whatever sander really, I make a nice flat spot. So then you're able to hold your back support up here, center it with the hole, and we're going to go flat against, and then you're going to draw your line. We need to add 1/2 inch. That's how far up it's going to be in this headrest. Now, why is it 1/2 inch when we drilled the hole 1 inch? Because the plan is we're going to be able to slide this up into the crest rail and then down into the hole. So these are all removable. So add 1/2 inch to that line. Very, very important. Little tick, take my square, come right across. I don't mind right now adding a little extra. We can always take it off at the sander. It's very easy to do, but we can't add it on. I also like going like this right now. We're going to squiggle this line out because we don't want to cut there. We're going to mark them all just like that. Then we're going to go to the table saw. We're going to use our sled, and we can cut these off nicely. We're then going to go ahead back to the tenoning jig, make that same cut. We're going to come back here with the template, but we're going to have a little twist to it this time. Matt has done a fantastic job. Cut our 7/16 thick tenon, 2 inches tall. Same template as before. Notice we have some lines on it. This is because this template is used for all of my chairs, so these are going to be used differently depending what chair you're going to make. But very simply, I'm going to put these in order here. The very bottom line, you're going to line it up to the bottom of your cut and give it a trace. Now, if you made these templates yourself, chances are you're a human being, and you might have slight difference from this side to this side. So when I do the tracing, I actually like to flip it. I just like to use the same side for both ones. So I just flip it, give it a cut. We're going to go ahead. We're going to do that to all of them. We're going to bandsaw this away. We're going to spindle sand this. We're going to go to the router with the donut again, round over these 4 edges. We're going to then test it in our chair. We're then going to probably have to spindle sand it a very little bit to fit it. And then after that whole process, we should actually be able to sit in our chair comfortably. Okay, so we just did the same process. Tenoning jig, traced the template, bandsawed the curve, spindle sanded it. And we also did the routering, although slightly different. I raised the bit almost flush with the top of this because the top tenon can actually be fully round. We've pulled out the crest rail, here it is here. And now Matt's fine-tuning the fit of each top one into these holes. All right, we're back at the chair. One detail we didn't mention, along the top side of this back support, I like to make a nice chamfer on it. It really helps with it going in and out. And we'll do that at the spindle sander. All right, we cleaned it up a little bit more. Let's put her in here. Go in your hole. All right, so that was way less stressful. Now you can see here, I'm hitting the bottom here. Basically, it's because when we made all this, we made this a little bit longer than we really wanted, just in case that we don't want to make it too short. Again, we can't put the wood back. So I'm going to go to the spindle sander. I'm going to shorten the top, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, not even. And then we're going to come back and fit it again. All right, we're back from the spindle sander. Let's see how she fits in the top. Oh, much better. No, you don't have to force it in, which is what we want. Our length is just about right now. Dropping it in. Oh, and that's right we want. Nice little thud. And look, we have a little bit of jiggle back and forth, which is fantastic. It's going to adjust to our back. And we do want it relatively tight still right now because we have a little bit of hand sanding because we're going to clean these up to 400 or 500 grit. We're going to go ahead, fit the rest of these, and then we're finally going to have a seat in this chair. That's exciting. All right, you can sit first, Matt. Go ahead. And you can get right back. Yeah, see, it's like obviously a little sanding on the top edge still. And there's no glue. Considering, eh? Yeah, you gotta think there's no there's just that domino in there. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, it's good. Yeah, you're like chilling out, feet out like this, having a few drinks. Yeah, it's good. Sweet. All right, that is awesome. We are fully done. Look at this. We have an actual chair that we can sit in. Now we still need to do a final sand on these back supports. We need to do a final sand on the chair, glue it up. We're going to continue on with the back supports. So we're going to be rounding over these edges, and I'm going to show you exactly how I take these from, I guess, rough lumber. It's kind of dressed, smooth, it's not bad, all the way to sanded up to 400 or 500 grit. So let's do that now. We're at the shaper table. We have a 1/4 inch round over bit in here. Now I don't have a height measurement for it, so I just start the bit low. And what I want to do is there's 3 layers to these back supports. We want the round over to come to the glue line of each of those, and you'll still have a slight flat edge on the side of the back support. You don't want that 1/4 inch round over rounding to a point. Very important. So we're going to start with it low. We're going to do a little bit, have a look at it, probably adjust it up until we're happy. Let's do it. So now we can see exactly what we've done there, but you can see we're actually not to that glue line yet. I am going to do the other side just to see how it looks. And we have a flat spot here, but it's not all the way, so we can go a bit more. Try again. Now the important thing when you're starting these back supports is that you don't tip into the hole of the router or the router table. So I have all my down pressure with my right hand. This is more just balancing with my left. I'm going to enter, get the bearing on there. Once we're across, you have full support. You don't have that worry anymore. It looks like we're just about right now. Let me have a look. Again, when I pull through here, all my down pressure is on my left-hand side because we don't want to tilt in there and have a little bobble. But now we basically have that round over and it's done right to the glue line of both laminations. The remaining of the round over will just be done by sanding, which we're going to get to. This is a step that it feels like you can go very fast with it, but you actually want to go at a moderate pace. Of course, we don't want to be burning the wood, but because of the bending of the wood, especially the fibers kind of coming up at this curve, they're susceptible to chipping out sometimes. So nice and slow is the way to go. You can come right off, flip it around. And one more edge. All right, so check out that back support. Get in there, have a look at it. Got all 4 edges. Nicely rounded over. Still have the flat spot on the side, which we're going to clean up with sanding. Here we are. We're going to do some sanding. I start off with a 6-inch Festool RO 150. It has the medium pad on it that comes with the sander, and I have a 220 grit paper on it. I will be in the big dot mode. And you can be in a slow speed, you can be in a fast speed, whatever you feel comfortable with. What I'm going to be doing with this sander is removing all the bandsaw marks from the faces of the front and back lamination, as well as shaping a little bit nicer both of these tops. Now this is just where I've done a lot of sanding with this power sander in my hand, so I'm very used to it. If you're more comfortable doing any sanding by hand, go ahead and do it the way you want to do it, of course. I'm just showing you how I do it, so we're going to get to it now. So I hold the back support there, and I just keep the sander nice and flat, and I always go down the curve. And when I get to the top there, I just kind of very quickly hit that. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to look at it. Everything looks fantastic. I'm going to flip it around and then work my way back this way. Really looking at what you're sanding, watching the surface get taken away. All right, good with that. At the end here, just going to hit it. Very quickly like that. We're going to flip it over. So we can actually see the bandsaw marks, so fully sanded, halfway sanded, and then bandsaw marks. I'm going to kind of sand, have a look at it, come back a little bit, blend it, come back. And again, with the tops and bottoms, just a super quick pass over that. Flip this around now. This will be the most tricky spot of the back support. You want to feel this, how is it? Very nice. Great. We're going to shape the ends just a little bit now. This is where I'll actually just use this in the slowest speed possible. And I'm just kind of coming down, breaking that edge, and then just kind of cleaning this up a little bit, kind of smoothing out all the high spots. Break that edge a little bit, come around here, same thing, drop it down this little radius. Got a little burn mark I'm going to deal with. Okay, I got it. This is why you want them fitting in the chair very tightly, because right now we're going to be removing a bit. So I'm happy with that end. Now I'm going to repeat with this end. Again, kind of just dropping it down and breaking that edge from the router, cleaning up all the high spots around, kind of dealing with the facets. It won't be perfect at this point. Don't worry about it being completely perfect, but you can get it pretty darn good. Okay, that's all I want to do. You don't want to take too much off. Happy with that. Shot back's loud. I usually have hearing protection on, but I'm kind of talking, so I don't. So there's the faces done, and very quickly down there. Now we're going to continue on with 220, but we're going to use the 5-inch RO 125 with an interface pad. Here's the interface pad. It's about 3/4 of an inch or so thick, super soft, like very, very soft. We're going to Velcro it down to the pad that comes with the sander. And I actually keep this just on a pad. I don't actually take it on and off because I find that fabric will wear out. So if you want your pad to last longer, I would just have a dedicated pad for this, which we do. We're now going to go 220, the same grit, on this interface pad. And now we're going to put this thing through what I call the rotisserie. We are going to be in big dot mode or Rotax mode, full speed. Get my speed up there. And we're going to be concentrating on these edges, and we're going to deal with this flat edge. So visually, we're going to see it go away, but you can also feel the back support to get rid of it. So let's do it. By the way, massive arm workout for your right hand, I suppose. Here we go, rotisserie. So I just kind of keep the sander lightly tilted, and I go up and down. I do hit the face very lightly, come around again, and this pretty much eats away that flat edge very quickly. And the key is just like you're trying to do an even amount all the way around. So I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to come around to this opposite side now. I'm just going to feel down the side of it, have a look at it. Really happy with that. It's still a bit flatter up here. I think I'm going to take a bit more. Get a little bit more aggressive with my pressure. Okay, that's better. That's better for sure. Maybe this side a bit more. Once you do the first one too, you kind of understand how much time you need to spend. Okay, that's pretty good. Now with this one here, I am going to clean up all this one last time again. This one. And I just kind of drop it down. One very, very quick pass over is all we're doing. Like very quick. That's it. Come around. Traveling down that curve. Because of the interface pad, it's really going to help blend it all together. Okay, I'm happy with that. So we're fully 220'd. We're going to go back to the first sander. Switch over to the 320 paper, concentrating only on the faces. We don't need to do the two ends again. We're just concentrating on the faces. Let's get her done. I like doing that full speed. So you can see the 320 goes very quickly. We're going to go back to this sander. Very carefully, when you take the paper off of this, you want to hold your thumb between the paper and this Velcro, because that can rip off the foam very easily also, and then your pad is no good. Been there, done that. All right, 320 paper on here now with the interface pad, Rotax mode, full speed, just like before. Concentrating on the sides mostly, not worrying about the ends again. 320 is done. Back to 6-inch. We have 400 paper, just the faces. Still full speed, Rotax mode. That's it with the 400 paper. And now check this out, little trick that I do. This is a 400. This is called Platin 2 from Festool. It's not inexpensive, to say the least. It does last a long time. It's foam. You can wet sand with these. They have them all the way up to 4,000 grit. This is actually for the 6-inch sander, but we're going to use it on the 5-inch with this interface. So I just take the 5-inch, I look over top of it, kind of center it, because we're going to have a little bit of overhang around all these edges, and that's really going to let this sander get right in there really, really nicely, deal with any facets that might be in there, and just shape this really, really nice. So this is 400. We're going to go to it. Don't need to concentrate on the faces too much, mostly all the edges. And I will now, again, hit both ends with this paper. So I will hit these ends again. Just very lightly letting the paper bend into all around. Very light pressure. If you're ripping the paper, this type of paper, you're pushing too hard. And you can see all the surface get nice and shiny. You can see the facets get removed. So we're up to 400. We can see it's got that nice shine going on. Really good figure curl going on this face. This is going to be really nice to get some finish on. And you know what? Let's even do it one step further. Platin 2 paper, we're going to take it up to 500. You can see how quickly also these steps go. 220 is where you're going to be spending most of your time. And then 320, 400, 500, very quick. All right. So that's it. That is the sanding process. Do you want me to go through it again? Yeah, I'll just be very, very quickly. Start off with the 6-inch sander, RO 150, comes with the medium pad on it, 220 paper, Rotax mode, full speed, hitting the faces, removing all bandsaw marks, both sides, also hitting each end, breaking the edges, getting rid of those lumps and bumps. Going to the 5-inch sander with the interface pad, the pad that comes with it, 220 paper, you're doing the rotisserie. We're basically spinning the back brace while going up and down it, hitting the ends also. Clean them up some more. Boom, boom, boom. Great. Back to the 6-inch, 320, faces only. Back to the 5-inch, 320, all over. Don't worry about the ends. 400 paper, faces only. 400 Platin 2 now. To full back brace everywhere. Bring it up to the 500, and I have one more little trick up my sleeve. This is from Festool. This is so old, I literally have it spray glued on there. We're going to put this on the 6-inch. This is from Festool. Now watch what this does. This is going to burnish it. It's going to pull all the sawdust out of these pores. So this is what your back braces should look like before you get some of that sweet, sweet Odies oil applied. We're going to get through. We got 4 more to go. Matt! Matt's behind the camera. If you wondered where he was, he's going to get some sanding done. I think we might even tag team this. I don't know. Just touch up the glue a little bit. We're pretty much ready. And it's going to be kind of fun to align everything. I'll probably put this back on the tripod to give Matt a hand. Maybe.
So we start from one end.
The back, you want it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice. That wasn't too bad.
So maybe put the call there and I'll. Getting close.
And on this side.
Oh yeah, she got home there. Okay. So, super quick tip for you guys, definitely sandpaper on the caul. So you can see how using these has your clamps go straight across, which is very, very key. We have a bit of squeeze out to the top edge, which is what we're after. And you can see we do have a lot of muscle on here because we had a lot of tenons. They were really tight, which is good, obviously. And they pulled in very nicely. So let's go. We're going to pull this down and we're going to get the top crest rail installed, glued up. Yeah, the sandpaper, what a difference. Cool. Matt's got a little Ozzy Osbourne in his head. Now, Paul does too. So here's what I made. It's just out of a 2x6. It was like that, I guess. Oh yeah. It's pretty good. Seat slats glued up. It's a good view of the cauls. And we also have the crest rail. Here you can see the caul that we made. And it just creates it so the clamp is straight across. One on both sides there. You can see it there. This quick clamp's just helping hold the crest rail back a little bit. We had a bit of movement in this domino. The whole chair is fully sanded. Everything's broken so nice. Very happy with it. We can see now this front edge here is blended in. Matt did a fantastic job with it. And we're fully blended up here as well on these miter joints front and back. Ready for the Odies oil. Super penetrating oil. If you're a woodworker, you know what walnut does when finish goes on it. We got the white Scotch-Brite. Let's see this stuff here. There it is. So Matt basically pours it onto the Scotch-Brite. Actually, you let it get absorbed.
Yeah, I kind of let it get absorbed in there, so then...
And see, he actually wipes off a good amount of it actually back into the jar.
And then we'll just get this little bit in here, and we'll get it to...
Yeah, let's check it
get
out.
to go as far as we can get it to go. There's going to be quite a bit on there when you first start applying it, and then I'll just kind of keep coming back and grabbing this excess back up and just keep bringing it along. All right, folks, so we've let the Odies oil set up for about, I think about 45 minutes now, and it's really important to use a small bit of SPO, the super penetrating oil, and this is exactly what we want. But we do want to make sure that we buff it off 100%, so I got some nice terry cotton towels, and we're just going to buff and scrub the chair down and get any residual oil off of the surface 100%. I like to keep another one in my hand so I'm not getting handprints on it as I'm working. I'm just going to get all that oil off. Yeah, look. Hardly anything coming off there. And this is exactly what you want to see with the super penetrating oil. Barely anything coming off. And to make sure that you've got all the oil off, I kind of just give a quick test with my finger, and if you run your fingers across there and you're not leaving any marks, then you know you have all the oil off the surface, and that's it.
We are done wiping off the chair, and there was virtually nothing to come off.
Yeah.
Like, almost nothing came off. The SPO, he applied it very lightly, and the wood sucked it all in. And you don't want to then reapply it onto the wood where it does suck it in. That was a mistake that I made early on when I first started using it. And look at this, look at the figure on these back supports. We got one of them in there. This is a sexy chair. That's what it is. I'm going to say it right now. So here's the cloth we're using. And you can see pretty much there's virtually no finish left on here anyways.
Well, this is everything that came off.
Right.
Just on this, on here. hardly
So
anything.
that's everything that got wiped off.
So that is a wrap, everyone. The chair is fully glued together. Back supports are created, put into the chair. And as you know, they are fully removable. So the hole in the bottom of the seat is about 1/2 inch deep, and the hole in the top is about 1 inch. So they can slide up into the hole and then come out, which is nice. And we can see the beautiful grain matching I like to do, which especially works awesome if you're going to use a bandsaw to create the laminations. Odies oil really makes the walnut look beautiful, but of course, sanding, very, very important. I want to give a thanks to Matt from Of Earth Furniture for giving us a hand for this build. Always a fun time working in the shop with another woodworker. And I hope you go ahead and build your own Bali chair. Of course, a reminder, we have the templates available for this chair. There's digital template that you can download and print off yourself. We have a paper template that we will print for you and get off to you in the mail. And then we also offer laser cut templates for this chair. So watching part 1, 2, 3, and of course this video part 4, you'll be able to create your own Bali chair or maybe even a set of them.